Winston and Felix here, and as I'm smiling, there are a couple of very serious things we actually need to talk about, and that is what's gone on in the market last week, what happened last night, and what is therefore going to happen in March and also later in the year. So as we're taking a little very light morning stroll here, this is a lovely little spot. I'll show you a nice view of it in Hong Kong. This is the Governor's Trail. So there used to be the governor's summer residence up here. This was his private evening stroll. So one of my favorite little hikes, and they've still got the old gas lamps up here and stuff. So it's very, very nice. But that's not what we're here to talk about really, is it? No. Okay, so we've had PPI in last week, producer price inflation, and that came in lower than expected, and the market went bananas and it's just like, you know, going nuts. Inflation, the CPI, came in a bit higher than expected, but we only like to listen to good news at the moment, so we kind of discounted that one as a bit of a view. You see that back there? South China Sea, that is. So what does that really mean? Well, we're expecting inflation to come down. We're expecting the Fed to be pretty dovish. And this is now happening to such an extent that the market's actually priced in, look how charming this is, these old little benches here. The Brits do really know how to enjoy themselves in the countryside. Yeah, we're now pricing in not 1.5% interest rate cuts, percentage points cuts, but about 1.7 or so. So we're looking at 5-6 interest rate cuts this year. And that's glorious, just as glorious, whatever Winston's sniffing back there. Lots of piglets up here and porcupines and that kind of thing. The snakes are finally, I think, withdrawn because it's getting a bit too chilly. So you can see by my coat. So what does that mean? Well, you might think, great, rates are going down, stocks are going to go up, fantastic year ahead. But you know what? The only time in the history when rates have come down a percentage point or more is when we had a recession. Actually, no, strike that. There was one exception. 1980, Volcker had driven interest rates to 20%. Yeah, 20%. And that wasn't the recession when he cut. But every other time when we get interest rates coming down from a sort of normal level to by a percent and a half, it's because we're in a recession. So that's not brilliant, is it? Does that mean we're going to get a recession? Well, let's look at a couple of the other things that are going on here, which is, well, the real reason, in my view, Winston, where is he? There he is. The real reason rates are going to come down and the Fed will stop shredding money in March is the banking crisis. And I know everyone's like, banking crisis, boring, boo-hoo. And I get that. Nobody wants a banking crisis, but it's still there. It has just been plastered over and it'll be back in March. Why? Because in March, the bailout expires. It's a 1-year bailout. Now they're going to have to extend that. That's pretty clear. But they're also going to have to cut rates and they'll also have to stop shredding money, or at least one of the two, just to make sure the banks don't go belly up. So that's kind of a good thing for us, unless you're in banking stocks, then you have a lot of risk, but other than that, it's okay. Now, what about Microsoft? Microsoft is now the largest company, listed US company in the world, overtaking Apple, because Apple sort of a little bit visionless right now, whereas Microsoft owns AI, and they've done that very, very well. And yeah, they're going to get hit with all these antitrust investigations for their OpenAI investment, and the whole Sam Altman leaving, going to Microsoft and going back, I think is a legal minefield because it kind of shows who actually controls OpenAI. So, but that's kind of a side story. Microsoft's going to fight that for 10 years, by which point us shareholders no longer care. You also have Tesla sliding, German factory closing, price cuts in China. Actually, the more bad the news is on Tesla, the more bullish I am on Tesla, which is kind of funny, because I see that there's less hype. I see them delivering an exceptional product. Nobody really coming close to competing, at least not in the US market. And I'm very excited about their robotic stuff. I think that's just a whole nother monster business that people aren't talking about anywhere near enough, but that's a side story. The real crux, I guess, what I really wanted to get to in this video is Yemen. I mean, most people didn't know where the heck Yemen was, so that it was a thing. But the Houthis in Yemen, who are Iran funded, have been fighting with the Saudis for years. And the Saudis have been hitting them with airstrikes for like 5 years, didn't achieve a thing except for killing a couple of 100,000 civilians mostly. And what's he sniffing? Does it smell good, Winston? And the US is now doing the same thing. So the truce that they have with the Saudis is probably going to go up in flames, and the war will probably resume. And if you think about what that's done to the Red Sea, it's basically a no-go zone now, one of the most important waterways in the world, especially for oil. And it's gone from, oh, it's a little dangerous, to it's a frickin' war zone, stay away. So what have they achieved? Nothing. Maybe bought some votes. I don't know. I don't understand this theory. You can pound these kind of wars. Have we not learned that you can't actually win them just by pounding stuff? Like we did it in Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya and Syria, everywhere, and it doesn't achieve a thing. All it achieves is that, you know, Lockheed Martin's share price goes up or whatever, Raytheon and these kind of guys. But in reality, it doesn't achieve anything, because when your enemy is fighting from the back of a Toyota truck with a $20,000 drone, and you've got $1 million massive missiles just blowing stuff up, it just doesn't, what are you blowing up here? Like, you know, all they got to do is go somewhere else. And they've been pretty good at that, because they've survived, to say, 5 years of Saudi airstrikes, didn't achieve a thing. So I don't think it'll achieve a thing. But there is obviously a narrative out there that likes that kind of thing, because, well, it makes money. Doesn't it, Winston? There he is. For certain people. But it's potentially very, very, very inflationary, because like just yesterday, container freight rates went up 25%. From China to Europe, that is. And imagine what oil tanker rates are going to go up by, because the insurance cost is going to go through the roof. Nobody's going to be able to insure going through the Red Sea, and therefore they're all going to have to go around South Africa. That's a way, way, way longer route. That's like 40% higher freight costs just from burning all that fuel, and therefore the delivery cost of oil will go up 40%. Not the cost of oil, but the freight element of it, and that's kind of insane. So I don't get this. I just think it's probably the people behind the people who are just saying, let's just blow up more missiles, because every time you blow up $1 million missile, we have to buy another one. But yeah, just I think the military is stuck in some sort of 1980s scenario where you can just carpet bomb places. And if your enemy has 200 tanks, yes, you can blow up 200 tanks. If your enemy has 2,000 drones, I'm just making sure that wasn't a snake, no, it was just a stick, then, you know, this process really does not work. So it's completely futile. That's a nice view here behind us. I don't know how well you can see that lovely mountains down there. Hey, Winston. So the risk, therefore, is inflation rebounding, and nobody wants that. But if you look at the statistics, the real thing that's come down is the cost of goods and energy. And if energy prices go back up, then your inflation is transitory story is going to be something we'll laugh at. So if they can calm down the Yemen thing, that would be good. But given that they're striking them every night, kind of pointlessly in my view, and undoubtedly the Houthis will strike back stronger, because it's Iran behind it. They're not going to be like, oh, we're scared now, you've blown up 100 buildings, we'll stop doing this now, we were very naughty, we're very sorry, you're not going to do that again. That's not really the psychology of those guys, is it? No. They're going to show that they are undeterred and that they're stronger, just to talk to their home audience, and therefore this is actually going to get a lot worse. So if you look at this way, either you're going to get 6-7 rate cuts this year, because we get massive recession. That would be one scenario. Alternatively, the Fed's going to push back very, very hard against this narrative of 6-7 rate cuts, because inflation isn't coming down as quickly. This Goldilocks scenario of soft landing in between, it's hard to see why you would get 6 or 7 rate cuts. So my view at the moment is bullish short-term momentum, because that's just the way the market operates at the moment, and you can't ignore momentum. So the way we trade, Winston and I, we, set up a trade and we aim to take profits within, say, a week. That's kind of our view. Yeah, looks pretty bloody great. I mean, if you watched my video from yesterday, everything looks very, very nice and well stacked up. Though a lot of things are at all-time highs, so I'd always be cautious. And obviously come and join me on Tuesday, and I'll walk you through how we really trade and how we really make money in very, very little time. So we've got plenty of time to sit up here in the mountains and enjoy the views and search for wild boar, which this guy likes to do. They don't mind him, actually, which is kind of interesting. They just sniff him. Even the little ones, they don't seem to mind him. And in the medium term, you really are going to get to this decision point of either inflation fades and we will get a recession. And that'll likely only happen after the election, because politicians will lie to us until the election. I mean, they still lie to us after the election, but if a new person comes in, Trump, oh dear, it'd be interesting, won't it? Entertaining for us foreigners, because we're not that involved, but interesting, then you're going to get some different data points out. If Biden sticks around, I guess they're going to try and get through all the lies with just making seasonal adjustments and revising data, as they've been doing for the last 12 months. So every single time they put out labor data, does this guy look happy or what? He's like, sun's coming out. This is really lovely. Look at the view, the air. He's such a mountain goat, this guy. Yes, I just struggle to see the Goldilocks scenario continuing forever. And I'm not a pessimist at all. I think it's always brilliant to buy good stocks. I think it's always brilliant to trade and make money from your money. You can always do that. But I would just caution a little bit on everything is going to go up forever. Yes, we're going to get more stimulus. The Fed will undoubtedly deliver that in March. And we are going to get lower interest rates. But is the market pricing in too much? I think that's kind of what we're getting to right now. And that doesn't mean we're not going to go a bit higher. I think we probably will go a bit higher. But I think just a bit of caution. And that's not always the most popular thing to say, I get that. But just be a little bit careful. And I think if you're buying long-term stocks, the simplest thing to do is just, buy them every Monday or whatever and just buy the same basket, no matter what it costs, and you'll do very, very well. But if you want to do a little bit better than that, pull up the stock chart, put in a 200-day moving average line, for example, and just see, could I just buy below that? Or the 30-week moving average line, or even the 100-week moving average line on the Nasdaq or something like that, and just look at, could I just buy more in those moments where everybody hates stocks? And at the moment, everybody loves stocks. And therefore, I would be a little bit more cautious. I'd maybe take some profits. I'd maybe buy some put options because they're incredibly cheap, and that's basically insurance. And Winston's like, are we going to keep moving or what? All right, come on, keep moving. So you can make money no matter what. If it gets a massive recession, you can still have the best year ever. I said this last week, like all of my most successful businesses, I started during recessions because nobody else is. You get better talent, you get less competition, you got a bit of time to figure it out. And let me just see if you can see this view, because this is really something. There we go. Can you see that? Maybe not as clearly as I can, but that's lovely, isn't it? Really, really lovely. And that's a nice mountain up there. We might go up there in a bit. So yeah, with that ramble, I thank you for tuning in and watching. I appreciate you very much. You might have seen that we're doing a lot of shorts at the moment. We're kind of trying to figure out what people actually are most interested in and how I can deliver most kind of educational value in those, which is kind of my idea with it. So bear with me on those and let me know, like just put comments on them and say, hey, I like this, I hate this, what's the point of this, or this is really, really good, I found this useful, I found this motivating, whatever it might be. Let me know. That's the only way, like, I make the content for you. If you like it, I'll make more of it. If you hate it, I'll stop it. And yeah, that's really it. Thank you very much. I wish you a glorious day. Winston says, let's keep sniffing around, and see you on the next one.